Good morning, Grenada. It's your boy Troy Gill, and welcome to Rise and Shine. All right, guys, and of course, you know we have lots of great information coming your way, lots of great content. But of course, we want to start with this morning's fitness to get you pumped and ready for today. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Darling, would you like some tea? I've made your favorite.
Well, thank you, darling. I'm here finishing my blog post to help homeowners understand their electricity bills. You know, nobody likes paying bills. But at the very least, you should know what you're paying for.
That's true. Some people just check the balance.
Exactly. There's so much more information on your electricity bill. That is how I've been tracking our usage to make sure the changes that we made are working.
So, what do you have so far?
The left side of your bill shows the rates for electricity and the government charges. The middle portion shows the number of units you've consumed, plus the history of your usage over the last 8 months. And the right side shows how much you're being charged.
So tell me about the fuel and non-fuel charge.
When you pay your bill, you're paying one charge broken into parts. There's a fuel charge, which is the cost of fuel used to generate electricity. And there's a non-fuel charge, which is the cost of delivering electricity to your home and any other necessary services.
But darling, what about VAT?
Now this is interesting. If you use 99 units or less, there is no VAT. Above 99 units, you pay 15% VAT on the non-fuel portion of your bill.
I love this so far. But wait a minute. Have you added the environmental levy?
That's the final piece. You see, Grenlec collects this levy from domestic customers on behalf of Solid Waste Management Authority. This charge is $5 or $10 depending on the number of units you use. So, add the fuel, non-fuel, VAT, and the environmental levy, and that's your electricity bill.
This is really good. I mean, it seems like a lot, but I appreciate that Grenlec shows us a breakdown so we can see the value we are getting for our money, and more importantly, where we're spending it. I really think people are going to value this information.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
The Christmas holiday season is weeks away, and MTV, along with Magic FM, is providing advertising rates, programs, and special deals for businesses. Let us help you boost your products, services, and Christmas specials. Don't have an advert? Don't stress. We can create it for you. Contact MTV Marketing Department for details and book it on 440-8171, 405-5718 or mtvmarketinggd@gmail.com. Book early and bring cheer to families for Christmas. Terms and conditions apply.
Who needs a plan? Take my hand. Our stories will find us. My Shandy Caravan. And there's nowhere that I'd rather be than any place with you. My Shandy Caravan. And there's nowhere that I'd rather be than any place with you.
Shandy Carib, refreshed for life.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. It's your boy Troy, and we are here at the beautiful, the picturesque Fort Frederick in St. George's. All right, guys, and here we are going to be doing another fitness episode for you guys. All right, and we're going to make it simple, very effective, guys, workout so that you can get pumped and ready for today. So we are going to be doing the traditional, all right, we call this jumping jack, but we're gonna be doing several variations. All right, guys, so follow me as we go along. Are you ready? All right, so the first one is really quite simple, right? You step like this, the other way. Let's go. 3, nice and easy. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Then the actual jumping jack now, guys. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Good job, guys. If you were following, then we're gonna do jumping jack with a shoulder press. All right, guys, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Good job, guys, if you were following. And this is the final one in the first round. This one is squat, jumping jack. All right, so go down into a squat and you come up. Ready, guys? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, nice and easy. 9, one more, 10. Woo! Good job, guys, if you were following. So that's the first set. We got 2 more sets for you guys. All right, so follow me as we go along. Good old-fashioned jumping jack. All right, we kind of mixing it up a little bit, different variations to get you pumped, get your blood flowing, get your heart pumping, get you ready to start your day. All right, guys, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job, guys. Woo! Actual jumping jack now. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Good job, guys, if you're following. All right. Jumping jack with a shoulder press. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Good job, guys. Final one, the second set. Right? Squat, jumping jacks. All right? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, woo, 5, it's windy up here, 6, almost got blown away, 7, 8, come on, 9, let's go, 10, woo, good job, guys, if you were following. Now for the squat, I want you to take it easy with this one. If you got bad knees, you got bad joints, then you can avoid this one. All right, guys, so you can do the first 3 without doing the one with the squat. All right, guys, or if you want to challenge yourself, you can do the squat, but you can squat to where you can reach. All right, guys, and remember to take your sips of water in and between sets. All right, guys, right, so we're into the third and final set. You guys ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Good job, guys, if you are following. Traditional jumping jacks now. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Good job, guys. If you are following, shoulder press with the jumping jack. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Final set, final exercise in the final set, squat, right, with the jumping jack. All right, guys, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one more, 10. Woo! Good job, guys. If you are following, all right? So you can incorporate these exercises, these movements into your daily routine, guys, all right, to get you fit, get you healthy, get you to burn some calories. All right, guys, and remember, I just want to encourage you, make sure that you're drinking your water, all right? Make water your #1 beverage, guys, all right? It's important to stay hydrated, all right, guys? And I also want to encourage you to make healthy choices as well, all right? So whatever it is that you're gonna purchase today, prepare a meal, or you're gonna go buy a meal, or whatever it is, remember to make healthy choices, as it's going to determine your health, all right? Remember, your health is your wealth. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. See you again on Rise and Shine.
Rise and shine. Rise and shine.
I'm Tony Julian with the details. The community of Pearl St. Andrew was left in shock after the discovery of Sherland James, a security guard who was found hanging inside his home. Police have confirmed that the body of James was found at around 12:30 p.m. today. After going home last evening, James reportedly was not seen early this morning as usual. This raised alarm and his sister went looking for him. When MTV arrived on the scene, the body of the deceased was still inside the house as police awaited the doctor to confirm the death. One woman is dead while a young man is assisting police with their investigations following an accident on Saturday evening in Subi, St. Andrew, which took the life of a resident in the area. Now dead is Jean Roberts, mother of 2, after the driver of a car lost control. But let's get more on this from Rachel Bain.
On Monday, when MTV visited the family of the deceased, her brother said all he wants is justice for his sister. The brother of the deceased is Rudolph Batiste.
That I'm looking for justice for my sister. That's all I want. I was not on the scene when that happened, but when I came on, it's my niece, it's my nephew who I'm talking after them. When I came on here, what I see happen, I don't know how to look at that. I don't know how to say about this thing, but all I'm looking for is just justice for my sister. She's a mother, she's a sister, she's a grandmother. She's somebody's daughter. I mean, she's not a dog. You can't kill her and just get away like that. I am looking for justice.
Roberts, according to her brother, did not die on the scene.
Well, what I found out, they said the car came up from the hill. Coming down, my sister came from the beach. She was walking up the road on her side. She saw the accident. So she ran. Look all the way she ran. 20, 30 feet away from the road. Look all the way she ran. The vehicle still come down and fall, kill my sister right in the corner there. Look quite where she ran. Look from the, she don't get hit in the road. Quite in the bush. You understand? So I mean, how can I just sit and look at that? In the hospital, my sister died. I don't know the police name, I didn't take his name. He said that, came to me, he said, Mr. Batiste, the driver of the vehicle is cooperating, so take it easy. And I said to officer, he's cooperating, look, my sister dead there now. She's dead.
MTV spoke to an eyewitness who did not want to appear on camera. The resident of Subi's housing scheme said the vehicle seemed to have stalled on the hill and the driver appeared to have lost control. The driver and a passenger allegedly jumped from the vehicle while it was reversing down the hill.
Okay, so we were right on top there, then the car was going up, so same time now the car, I don't know if he stopped or he cut off. I don't know much about that because I'm not a driver. But as the car stopped now, the car just skidding come down. So same time now the lady was coming up, but she head was down. But apparently now the car coming down with such speed now, like by the time she raised up she head, the car was already on her. So the car like he swing from the he come skidding down from the grass, and then he end up the car end up bouncing her. So the car hit her from the, she hit the two of them clashed together, and like they end up so same time now the driver and the passenger, they heave out from the car, and the rest of the neighbor just fly down and turn over the car to get her out from underneath the car. But the neighbors move real fast to get her from underneath the car, but what I find the ambulance move real lackadaisical. They take real, the man spend almost 45 minutes on the ground there. Plus when they come, there was, the nurse and I don't know if it's an orderly who came, I find they handled the man real bad, trust me.
For MTV News, Rachel Bain.
Attorney at law Deacon Mitchell has refuted claims that the law firm with which he is associated is no longer representing St. George's University in an ongoing dispute with the Technical and Allied Workers Union, TAU. Talks making the rounds are that the institution is not pleased with the comments made by Mitchell last week concerning the issuing of mandatory vaccinations in his first engagement with the media after being elected leader of the National Democratic Congress, NDC. Deacon has confirmed to our news desk that this is not true and that also he is not St. George's University's lawyer, but it is Mitchell and Company, which he is also associated with, that's representing the educational institution. Less than 3 months after launching as a political party, the Grenada Movement, TGM, tension has risen within that party. The party has yet to hold its first convention and has since seen the resignation of at least 4 of its main players, including the most recent, Jimmy Bristol. Bristol's resignation comes at a time when the political arena in Grenada has some level of unease among certain political players. And this sends a clear message to the people that TGM may not be ready to play with the big teams just yet. We have more in a report from Donella Hostin.
Although Jimmy Bristol's resignation was confirmed, the MTV News desk was not able to secure a comment about his reasons for doing so. The Grenada Movement, however, upon the surfacing of rumors surrounding the party's dissonance, released a statement saying that the party, and I quote, respects the rights of any individual to associate or disassociate, but will not subscribe to public mudslinging and the airing of internal party disagreements, end of quote. The release also stated that there has never been any confrontation of any sort at any meeting of the TGM. Neither has there been any secret meetings or meetings at all between Dr. Patrick Antoine and Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell. Numerous efforts to get comments about the current state of the TGM from either Dr. Patrick Antoine or Michael Church have proven unsuccessful. Reporting for MTV News, I am Donella.
It appears that the new executive members of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, are singing the same song for now. And based on the current political landscape and the closeness of the elections for the country, this can be a good thing. According to Larry Barry, General Secretary of that party, this time round, this new team is ready and willing to journey together and help with the educational process, starting with voter registration and moving forward progressively. According to him, the engine room of the party will carry the vision of that party.
That engine room will carry the vision to be an institutionally strong party ready to govern. All our organs must be oiled and operating with the same purpose: readiness to govern, winning the elections, governing the country with the NDC's avowed, tested, tried, and true principles, values of accountability, transparency, respect for democratic institutions, the rule of law, honesty, teamwork. Those are still the undergirding elements of our party's principles and ethics and the ethical conduct which we hold ourselves by.
Well, now that there is somewhat of a revival of the party, Barry says thank you to those who may have wanted to give up on the party before this last convention. He says even those who may have left are still now reaching out.
Thanks for holding the fort. It is they that has given us something to continue to build and grow. They are the ones, tired as they may be, never daunted. And some who may have seen alternatives still reach out. They are still reaching out to say, I may have gone this way, but I genuinely want the best for Grenada. And NDC still represents that which I feel is the best for Grenada, even those who have gone separate ways.
This, Barry says, is a way forward, and the NDC is strongly gearing toward leading the country forward. Beginning the 9th of November, Grenada is expected to have its first cruise ship enter its port. This, according to the Grenada Tourism Authority. It'll be the first of about 65 cruise calls for this upcoming season. Notably, all passengers disembarking from the cruise ships must be fully vaccinated, except for children under the age of 14. Everyone must comply with the protocols in place. This is to ensure the safety of all. The Grenada Tourism Association CEO, Petra Roach, says it was no easy task, but they have been working closely with the necessary stakeholders for this resumption of cruises. We have more on it from Donella Hostin.
While the resumption of cruise ships is a welcomed initiative, there are many questions about the vaccination status of visitors coming in. However, Minister for Tourism, Clarice Modeste Kerwin, says there have been many discussions with the cruise ships about the overall safety of everyone.
There have been discussions on both sides, the Grenada side, GTA, Ministry of Health, and others, tour operators and so on, and the cruise lines. The cruise lines have come up with the protocols. In general, what they have said is that all of the crew would be fully vaccinated, that the guests would be, the majority would be vaccinated except for children who are under 12. Some have said that everyone would be vaccinated, 100%. And some have said those who are under 12, and you would understand the implication of under 12, because up till recently there had been no vaccines approved for children under 12. And up till now it's still a bit of a toss-up as to whether the age would increase in the very near future.
As part of the efforts to ensure service providers are also safe, CEO of the Grenada Tourism Authority, Petra Roach, says through this process, the GTA will be working with service providers going forward.
These calls will be managed in strict accordance with health and safety protocols as guided by the Ministry of Health and global standards in alignment with best practices. We're going to be implementing bubble tours, and those are tours which are restricted to selected locations on island, and interactions limited to vaccinated service providers. We will continue to work closely with all stakeholders to extend that bubble, going along again a little at a time. Cautious wins the race.
Minister Kerwin Modeste says having these cruise ships coming in is an offer that, if refused, Grenada can lose out again.
If we do not take up all of these, over 200 calls that are being offered to us, there are other persons, again, as happened in the summertime when we had the offer, they will take it. And we have to ask ourselves, if we keep turning down these offers, for how long will these offers be open to us every season? Will they continue?
With the first cruise line expected to come in tomorrow, November 9th, Minister Modeste Kerwin highlighted the importance of the season, which is expected to last until May 2022, seeing thousands of visitors to the shores. The minister says this will create employment for many, particularly now as COVID has affected the country's economic flow. Reporting for MTV News, I am Donella Host.
As online classes continue, the Ministry of Education continues to provide avenues for the ease of learning and teaching. The most recent initiative is the launching of e-books for students at the primary school level. Education Minister Emmeline Pear says not only has the government provided the students with the devices, but also the investment was made in ensuring content for use by the students.
Of course, this makes reading, this makes studying, this makes researching a lot more exciting for students. Of course, the access to additional information, videos, resources online is provided through those books. But very importantly, we have engaged subject teachers to vet those books, to contribute to the development of those books, and we are happy that it will help our teachers. The assessment that students will be doing through those books online, we know that it will go a long way.
The rollout of e-books in the place of physical books will be beneficial to all.
But very importantly, we have always expressed concern about the number of books that our children have to carry. We have also expressed our concerns, and we have heard the concerns of parents of the cost of books. As we move into our e-books program, this will significantly reduce financial burdens for families, especially our vulnerable families. So I believe that within the school year, we are going to make a very smooth transition from textbooks, print books, to e-books. Of course, we would never be able to replace totally print books. And so there are some areas where we will continue to use our printed books.
Principal of the Woburn Methodist School, Richard Japal, is in high praise of the e-book initiative.
The books are easily accessible, okay, and to be able to get to them, I think it's just one fingertip away. So that makes it very, very easy to manipulate. Well, in terms of the subject matter, I must indeed say it was heartwarming. You know, for every chapter, first of all, we have the performance standards that students are needed to know, which I think is a plus. Because recently, in terms of our teachers, we have been doing the standards and assessments. So this falls in line with what we have been doing.
Discussing youth and politics on the latest edition of Perspectives, Pastor Devon Rache says age should not be a major factor when coming to politics. We have more on this from Nikita Hostin.
Pastor of the Evangelical Churches in Grenada, Devon Rache, says age should not be a qualifying factor or a disqualifying factor in leadership, and everyone deserves a chance. Speaking on Perspectives morning program with host Brenda Batiste, Rache says his involvement in politics started before 2008, and he became a candidate at 22 for the New National Party.
Well, let me just say this, that my involvement in politics started even way before 2008. In fact, I believe for most persons who eventually enter politics and have a passion to serve people, that this must begin with service at the community level. And for me, I was involved prior to this in youth organization and community-based organizations in St. David. At the time when I got involved, I was also the president of the St. David Youth Council. I was a president of that organization for several years, and that organization represented all of the youth organizations in St. David. So it was a coming together of the various youth organizations. And we were engaged in the post-Ivan period in doing many projects in St. David. And I guess those projects got the attention of some persons within the New National Party, a party that my family have always supported.
For political systems to be represented, all parts of society must be included. Rache says there should be a balance between young and the old in politics.
Right? I do not think that age should be a qualifying factor or a disqualifying factor. Right? I think that as a nation, we cannot accept that within the field of politics, we need a balance of both persons who are young and persons who are probably not so young. But as I said, it is not so much the number of years that you have lived, but what did you do with the years that you have lived? And so we really have to judge people by their track record, because your track record really best reveals who you are. So what have been persons' involvement in the community and such like. So when you look at, even when you look at Grenadian history, some of our past leaders have been persons who entered politics when they were young.
Yeah. For MTV News, Rachel Bain.
And yes, my heart is heavy, and I just wanna get it off my chest. By any means necessary, I celebrating heavy, cause I don't know if I'ma be next. Cause me grandmother tell me before she go, when your daddy gone. And then the Bible say, one day he will come, so let thy will be done. But as long as I have life, I celebrate. Cause so many people gone away, I don't know when my time will come. So I celebrate. If you happy to have life, let's celebrate. Cause so many people gone away, you don't know when your time will come. So let's celebrate. Celebrate party, no, no, no. Like we on our last breath, we on our last breath. Celebrate party, no, no, no. Like we on our last breath, we on our last breath. Put your hand in the air now, take a jump with your friend now. Cause you could see them today and then tomorrow they gone. Nothing that you could do when your time is due. And then your name called, there's no more you when you gone. Grandmother tell me before she go, when your daddy gone. Yes, I believe it. And then the Bible say, one day he will come, so let thy will be done. So let thy will be done. But as long as I have life, I celebrate. Cause so many people gone away, I don't know when my time will come. So I celebrate. If you happy to have life, let's celebrate. Cause so many people gone away, you don't know when your time will come. So let's celebrate. Celebrate party, no, no, no. Like we on our last breath, we on our last breath. Celebrate party, no, no. Like we on our last breath, we on our last breath. The other day my brethren bury, and yes, my heart is heavy, and I just wanna get it off my chest. By any means necessary, I celebrating heavy, cause I don't know if I'ma be next. Cause me grandmother tell me before she go, when your daddy gone. When your daddy gone. And then the Bible say, one day he will come, so let thy will be done. So let thy will be done. But as long as I have life, I celebrate. Cause so many people gone away, I don't know when my time will come. So I celebrate. If you happy to have life, let's celebrate. Cause so many people gone away, you don't know when your time will come. So let's celebrate. Celebrate party, no, no, no. Like we on our last breath, we on our last breath. Celebrate party, no, no, no. Like we on our last breath, we on our last breath. Many a and in back he was rich, left everything in the back. But I thank you, Father, for waking me up this morning. The bread.
and shine.
Good morning and welcome to this, your Rise and Shine program here on Magic FM and MTV. It's a pleasure being here with you this morning. I'm your host, Oslin Crosby. It's already 7:37 in the morning, just a little bit off this morning, but we are grateful to be here and also with you being here with us this morning so that we can share, we can inform, we can help you better understand what's happening. And this morning will be no different. It's going to be another informative program, one where we help you plan, one where we share with you what's happening, but more so importantly, one where we give you a very good start to your day. I know to our little ones, some more and more are out now to school. We are seeing them outside in the city and so at the end of their school day. But parents, we need to be mindful that we are not out of the woods re the pandemic. So it's important that we speak to our children, let them know that it is important that we avoid the loitering and the liming. At the end of the school day, please proceed home and get home quickly. It is safer when they are home than out and about in St. George's. So our police officers and so have their hands filled. And today we have our first cruise call for the season. The pandemic is not over. We have visitors coming in, according to the Minister of Tourism. The people, according to the cruise lines, some will be fully vaccinated. Children under 12, that one is still debatable. Some children, we know that we don't really have an approved one for children under 12, but we do have one for 12 and over. So the younger ones may not be vaccinated. So it's important that we are vigilant. We have to continue to be vigilant in this time. It's not an excuse because our numbers are very, very small. We were seeing 1 and 6. Some days, no new case has been identified, no deaths, and we are grateful for that. But remember, having the numbers down, one thing, keeping the numbers down is the task. And we all have to do this one. It's important that we all put all hands on deck and ensure that this happens. And now that we open up our doors to our visitors, to our tourists, we know what can happen. We have seen the numbers in other countries. So let's be mindful of this as we go about our daily chores today. Our visitors will be out and about, but let's be prepared. Let's take all the necessary precautions to ensure that we can remain safe. Remember, safety is key. To be safe, though, what we must do, we must prepare. So we encourage all to do that. Please do what we need to do to be safe. To our little ones who are out, I know it's exciting. It's an exciting time. You're looking forward to that face-to-face exchange. Some of the private schools, most of all the primary schools, if not, are out now. And our little ones are going out there and they have that interaction that we know that they have been yearning. Our little ones are also the bigger ones. We're hoping we'll be able to get out, even if it's phased, but we'll be able to get out soon. So we now get on over to the Met Office where we are preparing. We now start you off in the right way, where we share the weather report. Good morning, and we say good morning to our forecasters down at the Met Office.
Good morning to you and good morning to you viewers of MTV. It's a fair morning here at the airport. Winds are from the east at 10 miles per hour. Barometric pressure 13.3 millibars, which is just slightly above the mean, and it's rising. Present temperature 26.6 degrees Celsius. Relative humidity 82%. Yesterday's maximum temperature was 31.4 degrees Celsius, and the minimum temperature last night was 25.6 degrees Celsius. No rainfall was recorded here at the MBIA over the past 24 hours, hence the total for the month remains at 2.5 millimeters. Now the public forecast valid for today and tonight for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. The weather is expected to be partly cloudy with light to moderate morning and nighttime showers. Winds east-northeasterly to easterly at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Today's maximum temperature is expected to get up to 31 degrees Celsius. Seas moderate, waves 4 to 6 feet in open water. Tides are currently high and will be low around 1 p.m. Sunset this evening at 5:41. Sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:03. So just to recap, the weather is expected to be partly cloudy with light to moderate morning and nighttime showers. From the Met Office, Trisha Miller.
Thank you so much, Trisha. And that was the weather forecast for today with the forecaster down there at the Maurice Bishop International Airport, Trisha Miller, there sharing today's weather forecast. As we always remind you, yes, it is the 9th day of November, but we still have a couple more days to go in the official hurricane season period. We are grateful, we continue to be grateful that we have not been affected by any severe weather this season. That is quickly officially coming to the end. But as we remind you always, the season officially ending does not mean that we would not have any adverse or severe weather outside of the period. We have seen it happen in December. We have seen it in January. It's important that we continue to be vigilant and prepared always, because when the hurricane season ends, the troughs and so come in, and we know what they can do. They can be as severe, not as severe as a Category 5, but enough to make us uncomfortable and also create some damage. So let's be prepared always. So it's already 7:42. What we're going to do is take a quick break, and when we come back, our first guest is on for this morning.
We support you at every stage of your life.
For business,
for your education,
for your financial freedom,
for that new ride.
Upgrade your life with the Communal. Contact us today.
The Christmas holiday season is weeks away, and MTV, along with Magic FM, is providing advertising rates, programs, and special deals for businesses. Let us help you boost your products, services, and Christmas specials. Don't have an advert? Don't stress. We can create it for you. Contact MTV Marketing Department for details and book it on 440-8171, 405-5718, or mtvmarketinggd@gmail.com. Book early and bring cheer to families for Christmas. Terms and conditions apply.
We plan for every major life event, from birthday parties to baptisms, and celebrating a life well lived deserves the same thoughtful planning. Beacon's Rest Easy plan is designed to give your loved ones the comfort of knowing that they can do just that. With no underwriting and cover for up to 6 family members that includes certain injuries, this plan can be yours for as little as 75 cents per day. Call us at Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt for more info today.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. As we said before we went on the break, we have our guest on this morning. This morning we're not speaking to a stranger, but it is my first time speaking to him on Rise and Shine. So I have an opportunity to say welcome and good morning to Mr. Anthony Boson. He is the chairman of the COVID committee. And we will be speaking this morning on a number of things, but we're going to start off with COVID. Mr. Boson, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. And welcome to Rise and Shine.
Good morning, Ms. Cosby, and thank you for inviting me to your program. It's indeed a pleasure.
We are very, very pleased to have you. This morning we are, and we must speak to this. Minister Boson, well, not minister anymore, but Mr. Boson is a former government minister, served in the Ministry of Finance, also Minister of Education and other ministries. So we're coming in here with not just COVID experience. He's also an economist, I believe, by profession. So we're talking a lot this morning. Mr. Boson, let's start off with COVID. Your recently appointed position to that of chairman of the COVID committee. And we also heard of government's renewed approach to this pandemic. In the past, we were trying to ensure that we prevent the spread of the virus. We have had our first wave. I think we can safely say now have had our first wave, and we are in the latter part of it now. We are grateful still that it has happened. Yes, it could have been worse. Some countries' first wave was worse than this. We are grateful still that we are around and sharing. To those who are grieving, we continue to share our sympathies with their family. But as we move forward, and I think that is where we all are trying to look forward to now, moving forward. What is the approach and why at this time?
Again, thank you very much, Jocelyn. It's a pleasure to be on the program. First of all, let me indicate that the COVID subcommittee of Cabinet is an advisory body. Yes, we do advise Cabinet on issues relevant to the overall management of this COVID pandemic, in addition to providing Cabinet with timely advice as to exactly how we can coexist COVID impacting the lives of our people as well as the livelihoods. And as you rightly indicated in the beginning, the focus was primarily on the preservation of lives, because we were not too sure as to the type of enemy we were dealing with regards to this virus. And now that we do know the enemy that we are dealing with, we do know how it moves, and we do have what we call the weapons, the arsenal to deal with it, the focus is now more on not only preserving lives, but ensuring that Grenadians do have livelihoods as well. This committee was reconstituted about a month ago. And prior to this, we had a committee that was headed by Dr. Bud Brafitt. And I really want to pay tribute to Dr. Brafitt for the tremendous work, the tremendous contribution he made in steering the work of that committee, which was primarily focused on ensuring that we keep that virus out of the country and contain its spread. Now that we have seen an easement, and now that we have to come to the realization that COVID will be with us for some time, that virus will be with us for some time in one form or the other, maybe in a more endemic state, we have to take the appropriate measures to ensure that Grenadians do have a livelihood as well. And therefore, the reconstitution of the committee, as I will indicate to you, the new members bring to the committee a slightly different focus. Some of the members, a slightly different focus in terms of their skill sets. And in this regard, we do have someone representing the hotel and tourism sector in the person of Mrs. Ideli Gobert, DeCall Gobert, or I'm sorry if I don't get it right. And I myself being an economist, I mean, they thought it was necessary to bring that kind of private sector focus to the committee, recognizing the shifting of the gears from putting majority emphasis on the preservation of lives and now having a more harmonious and more balanced approach, taking into consideration the need to ensure that we restore livelihoods as well. So this is really the focus of this new committee. And I do welcome the opportunity to make my contribution as necessary in ensuring that our country move forward, notwithstanding the situation we are in now.
I think everybody wants to know what's happening. We're on the verge of concluding the year, and we know it is a time when people look forward to the economic activity that's spurred around that time. But along with it, we know that we are not entirely out of the pandemic. So most people are wondering what will happen by Christmas. I think it is safe to say that all of this will be determined by the masses, because if we don't do what we need to do, at the end of the day, we can find ourselves back in a similar position. But what do we foresee for that upcoming that time when we do get some economic activity? And that's in addition to a first cruise ship coming on today. So it means that we will have some more people ashore.
Well, first of all, we will want to ensure that the status quo, what exists right now in terms of zero death, minimum hospitalization, minimum new cases, we want to ensure that this can continue into the Christmas season and beyond. Although we cannot be letting down our guard, because as some people might say, this lull that exists now could just be the eye of a storm. So we have to be on our guard, right, as we move forward. But obviously, with the new focus on restoring livelihoods, we are looking forward to a removal of some of those restrictions which now inhibit the undertaking of certain economic activities that will bring greater benefits to our people in terms of creating jobs, in terms of revenue generation. And therefore, we are all optimistic that moving into the Christmas season, there will be no second wave, or there will be no spike in the virus, and therefore we can all enjoy a better Christmas and beyond. This is really the hope of this committee, and I believe the nation as a whole, that COVID will be kept under control and livelihoods could be restored.
That you're speaking of lifting, I'm going to try to take it a little further here. Are we looking at a similar position to that of Gaston Brown in Antigua, where he said by the end of the year all restrictions will be gone, and because we need to get back to life close enough as we knew it?
Well, the removal of restrictions will depend on the level of vaccination. As you know, in Antigua, they have instituted vaccine mandates. Yeah, we have not done that here because we do not believe that is the accepted policy. Although constitutionally it could be done, but we have decided to take a different approach from that of Antigua. And they are hoping that by Christmas time, they would achieve that herd immunity level, let us say 80% of the people being vaccinated. In our case, we are at, let us say, about a 32% level of vaccination. And that is not high enough to give us that level of comfort to say we could remove all of our restrictions, in this regard. So we still have to be guarded as to how we move forward. It has to be taken on a step-by-step basis. And the extent to which we can fully open up our country will depend on the level of vaccine uptake. I think that will be the critical factor in moving forward, and to how much we can liberate our economy, so to speak. So we are urging our people, if they want to enjoy the kind of privileges they enjoyed prior to this virus, let us all be vaccinated and let us all follow the protocols to prevent the spread internally of this virus.
The debate on the vaccine continues. That one would always be there. One of the areas that we see, though, is that the mandate that is given for vaccination is heavily influenced and pushed by the economic aspect of our country, or rather the economic arm of our country, because we see that it's the institutions, the businesses that are now putting in these mandates. With our new approach now, moving forward in this pandemic, no longer preventative, but rather seeing how we can live with this virus. At any point, do we see on the horizon that we may get to that stage? Because we see that it is holding back many. It is holding back a lot. Almost everything that we tried to respond to this morning as it relates to opening up the country, a normal, close to normal Christmas, everything that we're looking at, schools being able to reopen, it's dependent on that factor, that of vaccination, which is it is the only, so far, proven way to controlling this, and fastest and easiest way to controlling this virus. At any point, do we think that the advisory body may get to that stage where we have to move to that?
Well, first of all, Rosalind, it might be a misconception to say that the vaccine or the vaccination program is what they call business or private sector driven. Yes, the business sector is keen on opening up of the country, but we must also take into consideration that the ordinary folks, the poor and vulnerable members of our society, are also impacted by the restrictions. Yeah, the unemployment level. I mean, over 30% unemployed. I mean, these are many poor people, middle income people, right? So they want to see those restrictions moved as well. Again, the poor and vulnerable, they are impacted as well as the business sector. So we are all impacted by those restrictions. And therefore, it is in the interest of the nation as a whole to ensure that we can remove those restrictions. But again, that will depend on the level of vaccine uptake. And as the data will show right now, those who are most hesitant or those most resistant to the vaccine are really among the poor and vulnerable members of our society. So we have to get to them. Yeah. If you look at the 30% who are vaccinated, they're more the upper middle class people, right? So we have to ensure that we put in place programs, educational programs, to reach the ordinary people, the poor and vulnerable, to get them to take the vaccine, because it is in their self-interest as well, not only in the interest of the business sector, but in the interest of all of us, to ensure that economic activities are restored.
How do we move this moving forward? Because we know it is, I think we have enough data now after almost a year plus, as to a new approach moving forward on the education of vaccination to our most vulnerable groups.
Sorry, I did not get the first part.
I said, how do we move forward now? The education process. Before we tried that of, we continue with the public information, the media. We know that we also had some ambassadors to the message, some of the people that are, that you look up to in the communities, the artists and so, but we still have our vulnerable groups. The numbers are still very, very low with them. How do we move forward, being able to reach them with that of our messaging?
Well, moving forward will require a combined effort of all stakeholders. As it stands right now, I believe that too much reliance is being placed on the government. I mean, the government is just one arm, right? We have stakeholders, we have the churches, we have community groups, we have religious groups. So many different actors can come on board right now to help in the education program. And I'm a bit disappointed that I'm not seeing, and the committee as a whole, we are not seeing enough of our community-minded people coming forward to participate in the education program. So I am saying that we need a broad-based approach to education, because to me, this will be critical. This is crucial to get our ordinary folks, our poor and vulnerable folks, who are very susceptible and quite vulnerable to the anti-vaccine propaganda, to come on board. So we are calling on all stakeholders to join the government in this program of getting our people vaccinated, and do not leave it to the government alone, because government alone cannot and will not be able to do that. So, you know, all hands on deck in this fight.
I think that has always been the call, but I think now we need a lot more action in that case, because we all will benefit, or we all suffer together in this fight if we don't do what we have to do. And I think we have all seen this from 2020 to now. Everybody was affected or is affected by this pandemic.
We are all impacted in one way or the other, and therefore we should all get on board in ensuring that we find the appropriate solutions.
Mr. Boson, as an economist yourself, we know the economic hardship by many. If we know it was here, we know that it has climbed because of the pandemic. And it is not just government, the private sector, everybody's affected. And we were just speaking to this. What do you foresee for 2022? Because we know recovery will take some time. There is no way it's going to happen quickly and we will just be out. As we move forward as an economist, what would you advise people as we move into this season that's coming and expectations into the new year?
I would say we should look forward with what we call cautious optimism. Yeah? The Christmas season, as we all know, is a time when there is an upsurge in economic activities in the country. But that could be dampened if between now and then we have any kind of spike or an increase in the number of COVID cases again, because that in itself will cause the government to take certain actions that could restrict economic activity, and we do not want that. And again, I'm saying that the true and tested formula for the turnaround in economic activity, for more action in the economy, must be getting our people vaccinated. So moving forward, again, I do not have a crystal ball to predict what will happen, but I am hoping that we will maintain this low level of community spread, if none at all, of the virus. And once that continues, then the impetus will be there for government to institute further measures to relax or to remove restrictions, so at least more economic activities could take place. Because as it stands right now, our gross domestic product declined by over 11% over the past year.
Wow.
Right? Revenue intake has been down significantly. Unemployment has moved from 14% to now almost 40%. And certainly, you cannot sustain an economy with those negative statistics. And it impacts not only one sector, it impacts the entire country. And that is why I'm saying it requires a collective effort. We are making an appeal to all sectors, all segments, all stakeholders to come on board to get our people vaccinated. So at least we can reach that level, let us say 80% or 70%. And by so doing, we can restore all of the privileges that we had in the past and let the economy grow again. Right now, the economy is being stifled and it cannot grow under these conditions. So vaccine uptake, achieving herd immunity is a critical benchmark for our country to move forward. And as long as those benchmarks are not achieved, there will be constraints to economic activity in our country, which will impede growth, will impede revenue intake by government, will impede employment opportunities.
Wow.
So let's look forward with what we call guarded or cautious optimism as to keeping the virus under control, while at the same time we take the appropriate steps through the COVID committee in making its recommendations for government to further open up the economy for more economic activities to take place.
Wow. Wow, that I think you painted the picture as grim as it is, and constricting some 11%, that's a lot in over a year. But I think we are all feeling it. Everybody's feeling it right now. So there is no way, and I think it is even harder because we cannot look to anyone for assistance. Everybody's in the same position at this time.
Even within our region, in terms of looking at measures to curb this virus, is each man for himself. What would have been good is that if we in the Caribbean could take a collective, a uniform approach to dealing with this virus. But as it stands right now, each one, as they say, each top stands on its own bottom. Everyone for his own survival. And this may not be good for our region, but there's very little we can do about that.
Mr. Boson, you sat in the seat of Minister of Finance for years. If you were sitting in this seat now, it would have been quite a challenge for you to function. I don't think we ever foresee something like this happening and having to manage this.
we never anticipated this. And to be frank with you, this is a challenging time for any Minister for Finance, where you have to grapple with having to provide the same level of services as we are doing right now, because if we realize, notwithstanding the significant drop in revenue, government is still maintaining the level of public sector employment and having to pay even more in wages. Looking at 4% increase over the past year, 4% next year, and questions must be asked, where will this money come from when economic activities have declined so dramatically? So it is really, a Minister of Finance now has to be a modern day Houdini, really, to juggle and to ensure that, we keep our people at a certain level of satisfaction with the social programs. As you know, those have to be increased in order to cushion the earnings of the low income earners in society and those who have lost their income. That again, is a major burden. The stimulus package, about $35 million, that has to come from somewhere. So it is not easy, but it will require again the collective effort of all in making the sacrifice and in ensuring that we do what we have to do to alleviate these negative pressures on our country by way of taking the vaccine and ensuring that once economic activities increase, revenues will increase, employment opportunities will increase, the pressure on government to subsidize or to get involved in income transfers to help the poor and needy will not be as crucial, and all will benefit. So again, it's a major challenge, and I must commend this government for keeping the economy afloat under such difficult and challenging times. They must be commended for that, notwithstanding other criticisms that some people may want to make, but keeping an economy afloat, maintaining the level of public sector employment, increasing the social wage for the poor and vulnerable is something you hardly hear about in other countries in our region.
Yes.
They're cutting back on the weeds bill, they're cutting back on social programs while we are increasing. And it's a marvel that we can do that.
It is quite a challenge. And I had to ask you this question, and I think you recognize that we are switching gears somewhat. A politician for over 20 years, because you were elected some 4 times into government as the representative for St. Patrick West. Now also the existing parliamentary representative for that constituency. You're also the chairman of the New National Party. I think if we don't get into this conversation this morning, then it would not be a normal conversation. It would not be a normal conversation, because you can be considered a seasoned politician now, serving in the position for many years, and still an existing parliamentary representative. Mr. Boson, the political landscape in Grenada over the past week, over the past 2 weeks, we see it changed dramatically. We can say in the last month. A new young leader elected to the National Democratic Congress, which is Grenada's main opposition party. A lot happening. We're hearing a lot, but we're hearing very little, we know, from the government, because the government continues to steer the ship through this COVID storm. But it does not change what is happening. As chairman of the party, let's speak about the changing landscape politically. What you see, what are your expectations, and what do you hope will come out of all of this?
We can take the rest of the day and morning to discuss the political landscape in Grenada and how we go forward. But it is always good to see changes taking place in the political landscape. Let me personally take this opportunity to congratulate the new leader of the National Democratic Congress, and the team that has been elected to take the party forward. We in the New National Party, we are not perturbed one way or the other, because we know that in moving forward, we have an agenda that the people of Grenada can associate with. We will not allow our agenda to be sidetracked or derailed by the hype that now surrounds what is taking place in the opposition. The strength of our party will never be based, or the strength or weakness of NNP will never be based on what is taking place in the opposition camp. Notwithstanding the fact that we have to monitor what is taking place, yeah, because politics is very fluid, it is very dynamic. There is, yes, indeed, a lot of hype. Like anything new, people tend to flock and people tend to be excited by newness. Let's get that. It's like, it's like a bushfire. You get a big blaze and then everything might just cool down. With time, everything will settle down. Everything will settle down when reality hits home, yeah? Let us look at the NDC. As I said, we welcome what happens there. That's their prerogative. But I will never be one to say, some people are saying that, oh, the leader is too young. No, I don't believe that at all. That is not an issue, right? Youth is not an issue, because many politicians who exist now started their political lives at even a younger age. So that, to me, is not an issue. There are a couple of things, however, I will want to make mention of. And something I believe that the new leader of the National Democratic Congress must take on board, that he has joined a party that has a history of infighting, instability, changing leaders very often, maybe about 8 leaders in the past 8 years. And to me, it's a very toxic environment politically. And I do hope that the new leader has what it takes to bring the different forces together and to unite his party. That to me will be his biggest challenge, because even right now, there might be dissenting groups within that party. So that to me, it will be his major challenge. For us in the NNP, we have a track record that we can boast of, that we will continue to sell to the Grenadian people. First and foremost, the New National Party has brought stability to this country. And remember, stability is key. A stable political environment is key to attracting business opportunities to your country. If investors know that every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're changing a leader and there isn't fighting, they will be hesitant to come into the country, yeah? So NNP has brought stability to this country. The New National Party has a record of performance. Nobody could doubt that. And there's an old saying that performance beats old talk, yeah? We have performed, and what is even more credible, we have performed in times of crisis. So we do have a history of good crisis management in the New National Party. We can go way back to 1989 when the then Foreign Affairs Minister resigned and the whole thing was facing turmoil. And under the leadership of our present political leader, we were able to stabilize the political situation, and NNP won 15-6. In 2004, 2005, when this country was hit with the worst natural disaster, Ivan and Emily, it took the New National Party to provide the leadership to bring our country back on even keel. When most people were saying it will take 20 years for Grenada to recover, it took less than 5 years under the New National Party for Grenada to be restored to a level that was acceptable once again. In 2008, 2012, when there was this global financial crisis, which affected the then NDC, and they were kind of constrained in terms of their performance, It took the New National Party in 2013 again to restore that level of economic stability and fiscal sustainability so that our economy was once again growing and growing at a rate that was faster than any other economy in the region. And now we have another crisis, this global pandemic, and the New National Party is to the rescue again. So we have a history of crisis management, a good history. And I think the people will judge the New National Party on its performance, on the stability that it has brought to this country, and the kind of benefits that have accrued to our people over those years. So we are not perturbed. I think we have a good track record that we can boast of, and I think that we can campaign on. And the Grenadian people, they are aware of those benefits, and I don't think they will give away those things easily, by a hype and But again, as I said, we do not take our opponents lightly. People, as I said, are attracted by this newness, but it will fade away in time. It will fade away. When reality hits home, I believe it will fade away. And the New National Party, we have a strong base. We will survive. Okay. I have no doubt about that.
All right. We're speaking youth, because we did make mention, it is a young leader, and we would not go down that path of, and as you rightfully said, youth you don't think is not a disqualifying factor as it relates to leadership. But now I want us to speak to that of succession, because we heard Prime Minister say it at his last Parliament sitting that this will be his last election. We know that the Prime Minister, yes, he has given us over 30. By the next cycle, it's going to be over 40 years of service to Grenada in the political arena. It means, therefore, by the next electoral cycle, not the one that's due by 2023, but the next one, it would not be Dr. Keith Mitchell leading the party. And I know that transition is one that will start. Now that it started before, because he did announce before that he will not be going back into politics, that he was going to get out of frontline politics. So let's speak now to that succession planning moving forward, and to me that's important.
I'm hearing the call from certain quarters that Dr. Mitchell should give up. He should go and get somebody else to lead. Now, let's face facts. We are in the middle of a crisis. Let me just use an analogy. You are in an airplane, 40,000 feet above, and then you get a message, turbulence ahead. Will you prefer to have an experienced pilot in the cockpit or a new person? I will prefer to have an experienced pilot. I will feel more comfortable having an experienced pilot. And I'm saying that in the context of the call being made by certain people that Dr. Mitchell should step down now. If Dr. Mitchell was to step down now as leader of the NNP, I would consider this a most reckless and irresponsible act. Because you cannot, with your experience, abandon your people, or a pilot or the abandoning, his aircraft in the middle of a crisis. Dr. Mitchell has to guide this country through this crisis, and he has to be here. He has to lead the New National Party for this coming election. There's absolutely no doubt about that. The party has decided on that, and that is irreversible. So with all this talk, that ain't making sense. Experience at this time is critical, and this is what we need. When you have a crisis, you need experience, yeah? But we always have to look to the future, and this is where succession planning comes. And for those who are saying that there is no succession planning in the NNP, they are mistaken, they are misguided, they are not aware of the facts. Because I am the person in chairing that succession committee, so I know that we do have plans for succession. Yeah, it is not, I cannot give you all of the details, but I'm telling you that we are looking at the broad parameters as to exactly what will we be looking forward to in terms of someone taking over from Dr. Mitchell when the time comes, when he sees it fit, and he said this is his last. So if this is his last, we must have structures in place to decide how a new leader will be put in place. And we are not a party that believes that, okay, you must handpick a leader. Yeah, you cannot just handpick a leader. That is not democracy. But there must be guidelines within which you can elect a leader. So at least you will not, so you will avoid what happened, let us say, with the GULP in Grenada or the W Workers' Party in Dominica, where after the leader departs, the party disintegrates. That will not happen to the New National Party. I can assure you that whenever Dr. Mitchell sees it fit to depart the scene, the New National Party will be there. It will not disintegrate like the GULP, because we do have a succession plan in terms of identifying the broad parameters and the characteristics of those who should be offering themselves for leadership post Dr. Mitchell.
Yes, and I had to touch it because we have been hearing, because we know now that the comparison will be made as to a younger leader to that of a more experienced leader, but not necessarily more that. We have, as you rightfully said, the calls are being made, but transition is important. Do you just pick up somebody? Yes, we know that we plan for the unforeseen, but when we are alive, we plan so that transition can happen and happen seamlessly. That is, you go when you take over, you know what's happening. Not just we have you because we need you at this time. Need sometimes can have us backed up against a wall, where we make decisions not based on what it is that's best, but rather what's needed at the time. And I don't think anybody likes to be in such a position.
Something, again, we must understand, and somehow people maybe not taking that into consideration. Good leaders do not drop from the sky like manna. They do not drop from the sky. Good leaders come from the bowel of the people, from society. Good leaders are tested and tried, right? They have proven themselves. Yeah. So, yes, having a new leader could be good, but in terms of, you may have a leader, but whether he's tested and tried in terms of being in the political vineyard, being part of struggle, knowing what it takes to struggle, to move up in the political field is something else. As I said, they do not drop from the sky. They are not yet from the bowels of the people. And that is how you test. Huh? And again, let us put it that way. The new leader of the NDC is the leader of the party. He's not prime minister. I mean, and being a leader of a party does not automatically makes you a prime minister. Because the first and most important criteria that you have to satisfy is that you must be able to win your seat. If you cannot win a seat, you cannot be prime minister. So that's your first test. So let us forget this hype about, well, yes, we'll have a new prime minister. It is not automatic. You have to win your seat first. And then the elected members will decide, based on tradition, whether they want you to be the prime minister or not. But it's not something that is automatic. And this hype, yes, as I said, I welcome, I know the young man well. He's a very friendly, very affable person. I think he will have a contribution to make at some time in the political field. But as it stands right now, we have to be very careful that in the middle of a crisis that has not yet demonstrated that it is coming to an end, that we make a decision where you put inexperience, where experience will be the major criteria in guiding the country through these difficult times.
Okay. Strong position there, Mr. Boson. One speaking with background information and experience too. It has been a seasoned politician for quite a while. As we conclude though, we spoke COVID, we spoke politics. Grenada, what are your expectations for this country, knowing our present economic situation in this pandemic, preparation for an election that's due by 2023? We know that the atmosphere, things are becoming a lot more charged, a lot more tense. People are expecting things. But in addition to that, it's a very cautious time still because we are not out of the woods. Your expectation as somebody that has sat in that seat for quite a while, your expectations for this beautiful land of ours, because I think we are all at this stage now. COVID has given us a lot of time to do introspection, deep ones, but now that we conclude that we are wrapping up the year, and we're all looking to 2022 with very, 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 very bright expectations and looking forward with the hope that things would settle down. You as an individual, former policymaker, still in that leadership position, speak to us about what you would like to see, where you would like to see us go, this country, come 2022 as we wrap up this year.
Thank you. Very good way to wrap up. There's an old saying that hard times don't last forever, but good men could prevail. Yeah. And in this context, I am saying that this pandemic, this epidemic, or whatever you call it right now, it will not last forever. It will not last forever. Yeah. We are going through difficult and challenging times now. This administration has provided the kind of leadership to our country that very few expected it to provide. Having to perform with limited resources, having to perform in an environment where you have to satisfy the needs, the basic needs of the majority of our people, having to deal with high unemployment, but generally, when the vote is cast, people will say that this government has done a fantastic job in managing this crisis. There's absolutely no doubt. They have managed the crisis well, more than the other countries. Yes, there might be aspects of criticisms, which is welcome. You have to criticize when it's necessary. But overall, I would say that we have done well in managing the crisis. And therefore, I am looking forward to a situation where we will not have another spike that will cause a reversal of the trend that we have now taken to place greater emphasis on the restoration of livelihoods. Yeah, this is my greatest hope. But that can only be done, or that can only be achieved, if we as a people do what is required. And how often can we emphasize this point? How well we move into the new year will depend on how our people respond to this vaccine uptake. There's still too much hesitancy to give us the level of comfort to open up the economy, open up the country to the level, let us say, pre-COVID level. Yeah. But we all want that. We all want we all want a better life. We all want to look forward to better conditions. But it will depend on us. So whether we achieve greater prosperity or improve situation in 2022 will depend on us, not the government. And let us get that clear. I could stop here. It will depend on us. Let our people come forward and be vaccinated. It has been proven to be the best weapon in the fight against this virus. And if we can do that and improve our level of vaccination from 32% right now to, let us say, about 60%, I believe that 2022 will be a very bright year, because we will see more relaxation of those restrictions, more economic activities taking place, but at the same time, keeping our guard on, because we can never tell when a second wave will hit us. So it all depends on us. It all depends on we as the people doing what we have to do, and society as a whole coming forward and joining the government in effort to increase vaccine uptake. But without a crystal ball, there's not much I could see. But that could be a determining factor as to whether 2022 will be better or not.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boson. It was a pleasure speaking to you this morning. I know our conversation went from what we initially started off as COVID, but I thought it was fitting. And with all that's happening, somebody like you with that experience, it would have been remiss of me if I did not ask, or our conversation did not journey on that other path. But I thought it sort of paved the way as to what we can expect as we continue along this path. The times and things that must happen, we don't control. What we can control, though, is what we do to ensure that our contributions are meaningful and that it makes a difference in whatever time in which we exist. It was a pleasure speaking with you this morning. I'm sure we will be speaking again as we move into a new year. I wish you the very best. You continue to stay safe in this pandemic, and we look forward to your continued contribution or service to this country.
It was a pleasure having you as a host to this program. I really enjoyed it. And on your invitation, I'll be back again.
All right. Thank you so much. We will be extending another one. Thank you again, Mr. Boson. So we were speaking there with Mr. Anthony Boson. He is now chairman of the COVID subcommittee, an advisory body to cabinet, and also the chairman of the New National Party. So we had a twofold conversation this morning, one where we spoke to the management, the new approach to COVID, to the management of the pandemic, moving away from preventing, but now saying how we can live with this virus, ensuring a spurring economic activity. And then, of course, we shifted shifted our sails a bit when we went across to that of the political landscape, all that's happening. And a new, young, vibrant leader elected to the National Democratic Congress just about 2 weeks ago, making his rounds, making his media appearances. And of course, I'm sure at some point we will have an opportunity to speak to him. What is the incumbent, the government's position on this? We heard it this morning from Mr. Boson, not perturbed, not daunted, welcoming the new inclusion, the changes to the landscape, the youthful vibe and energy. As you always say, it's always welcomed as youth brings new ideas, but the balance, and we hear that is what we're hearing from the side of the National Democratic Congress, a mix of youth and experience, with the hope, according to the words of the new leader, of unifying his party. Some words of advice, some observations shared this morning by Mr. Boson, and it's just so much happening. But in the midst of all of this, it's important that we remember that we still continue to live within this pandemic, and I want us to always be mindful of this. The environment has not changed. Yes, our numbers are down. We had no new cases yesterday. Our new cases numbers, it was at 0, none. Does that mean that we just let loose and be free? No. Let us continue to be vigilant. Let us continue to be mindful that we are still existing within this pandemic and that things can change and change quickly. Or everything, though, as to where we go, how we do it, and where we get to, it's all dependent on us, all of us. Because remember, I'm having the virus and not doing what I need to do. It means that I'm passing it on to others. And we can go back to that place where we don't want to go back. We have experienced it. It was not pleasant. So let's do all that we can to ensure that we are safe. To all who joined us this morning, we say thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on with us this Tuesday morning. I will be back here with you on Thursday morning, God's will. All things remaining the same. Life, health. We will be back here when we continue to share on this platform here on Rise and Shine here on MTV. So again, we look forward to Thursday morning, God's will. To the team, I say thank you, Chad, Tanya. Thank you so much again for another program. To all our sponsors, all our corporate bodies, we say thank you so much for continuing to support this program. Again, Thursday will be my next time here. I wish everyone a good one. Remember, if you have not yet gotten vaccinated, think about it. Do your research, ask the question. Somebody will respond. Don't listen to just the negatives. There must be positives in it. So many people have gotten vaccinated and they're still around. If that's the fear, don't let fear guide your decision. Let information guide it. That's where I say goodbye for today. I'm your host, Austin Crosby, wishing you a pleasant day. A very, very pleasant one, but more so, be safe. Rise and shine.
support you at every stage of your life.
For business.
For your education.
For your financial freedom.
For that new ride.
Upgrade your life with the Communal. Contact us today.
How did you get your electricity bill to be so low?
For one, we size our transformers just for what we need, and we unplug transformers, chargers, and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LEDs. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in.
How do you know if it is working?
We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased.
Renelec, energizing our Grenada.
Despite the situation we now face, one thing is for certain. We will get through this together. As much as we are a part of your community, you are a part of who we are. Let's take care of each other during this time, as we always do. And soon, we know that with the dawn of that new day, all of this will be over, and our land will once again be healed. In the meantime, stay safe. Know that we're here for you. Courts, bringing value home.